Hello there. I've been a gamer for over 30 years, and this following list is my ultimate end-it-all, be-all list of fantastical ultimate super games of all time ever in existence of history. In the case that you don't agree with my list, that's perfectly fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. The first one, and these are randomly ranked. There's no like 10 to 1. All of these are my number ones. So the first one that we're going to tackle is Silent Hill 2, the remake. I remember playing the original decades ago, and I was completely enthralled with it. And now getting to play the new sort of reinvented edition decades later, it was such a beautiful love letter to the original game and to the fans of the original game. There was never a moment where I thought to myself, this remake, this part doesn't fit here, or what they did in the original was better, or they're changing stuff just for the sake of it. Every change that was made in this remake was for the better of the game. I can't even think of a single thing that they changed or altered or whatever they did that didn't improve on the original. And that's not me shitting on the original, because that was an amazing game, but this one elevated it even more. Ever since I finished the game, I was dying to just instantly jump back into it, but there's this one part in the game that's prevented me from doing it again, because I just don't want to go through that again. It's the part where, is it the museum? The part where you take those long stairs to the underground and you get to the part with the revolving house. That was the stuff of nightmares. The next one is going to be pretty controversial, because the game itself was very controversial when it came out, because something happened in that game that severely upset fans. It severely upset me. But the thing is, the reason that it is on this list is because of that upsetting thing. I'm talking about The Last of Us Part 2. Why is it on this list over the original? In the first The Last of Us, I loved every character from start to finish. I absolutely adored them. But what they did in the second one, they introduced characters that I absolutely hated with a passion from the first time they appeared on the screen. And what that game actually managed to do was to completely flip it around and convert me and make me fall in love with characters that I absolutely abhorred from the first moment I saw them. So I was so impressed with that, so impressed with the story arcs of certain characters, to make me fall in love with characters that a couple hours before I only wanted them to die a horrific death. I mean, that was quite the accomplishment. And the game itself is just, in terms of gameplay, it is bigger and it is better than the original, than the first one, I mean. And that's already saying something, because The Last of Us is an absolute masterpiece. I strongly advise you to play the first game and then jump straight into the second one, but beware, your feelings are going to be destroyed. Next one up is the final installment of one of the, perhaps the most legendary first-person shooter in existence. I'm talking about Doom. Specifically Doom: The Dark Ages, the last installment. As I was playing the new versions of Doom on console, Doom and Doom Eternal, during the game you get to pick up these pieces of lore. I was so addicted to collecting these shreds of history, because the lore is so incredibly fascinating. When they start talking about the Sentinels way back in time, how they got created, how the Slayer got mixed up with them, how he climbs up their ranks. And as I was collecting and reading all this lore in Doom 1 and Doom Eternal, my only hope was that, oh my god, if they ever make a game in this that is based on this, on the lore, I mean, that would be a blast. And that's exactly what they did. They made some gameplay changes in this one. They made it more, not really open world, but they made it so that the levels were, it wasn't linear anymore. You basically had some sort of freedom to accomplish certain objectives first. So you were free to roam around the entire map at certain levels. And that was a very tricky, risky decision that they made, but I think it really worked out. It isn't like that for all the levels. Some levels are still like classic Doom, linear, finding key cards, opening doors, solving puzzles, and just blasting away. Obviously, the music is gonna be mind-blowing as you play this game. Yeah, this was an unforgettable experience for me. Now, one of the game series that is most dear to my heart, it's actually a trilogy, but I'm only gonna add one of the games on this list, and it is Mass Effect 2. In books, you talk about character work, and as I'm reading a lot of Stephen King right now, character work is on an epic level. He's amazing, unmatched by anyone that I've read so far. And if you translate that to video games, the character work that's done in the whole Mass Effect series, I have never played a game where I got to the point where I considered certain characters like almost like real friends, even though how insane that sounds. You got to the point where you cared so deeply about certain characters that it just became that way. The thing in Mass Effect, certain things you do throughout the game has an effect on how it ends. All your actions and decisions throughout the game basically decide or dictate the fate of your companions at the end of the game. So if you made the wrong choice here and there, maybe one of your favorite characters at the end doesn't make it. When I got to the end, I think there was one or two characters that died, and I was so upset by that I restarted the whole game, made sure that I made all the right decisions, completed all the missions that I needed to do, collect whatever thing I had to collect, just to make sure that everyone made it out all right. So yeah, the companions and the game itself was amazing. It is probably, series-wise, the one that I replayed the most. I mean, the entire series from 1 to 3. Next up is easily, I think, an all-timer for anyone who has played it. It is The Witcher 3. Geralt of Rivia is an absolute badass. I mean, he's iconic in every way, in every sense of the word. And when I played The Witcher 3, I hadn't played the previous game, so I went in almost blind. I looked up a little bit of what had happened in the past games to not walk into it like completely oblivious. But when I took my first steps into the game, into the world of Geralt, it was love at first sight. What that game managed to do was nothing short of a masterpiece. It was visually, it was incredible. To this day, there are very few games, even modern games, that can stand toe-to-toe with it. In this game, your actions, your decisions have huge impact on how certain missions develop. And one thing I have to point out, most of the time when I play games and they have these sort of mini games within the game, I'm not really interested. I don't really care about it. But in The Witcher, there's this card game that's called Gwent. Oh my God, that game took over my life. And it wasn't even a proper game. It's a mechanic, a card game within the game. But I was completely addicted to it. I was collecting all the cards. I was challenging everyone to a game of Gwent. That game was so fun. It's so well constructed. It got to the point where at times I booted up the game, but not to play The Witcher, but to just play Gwent. And also just the story of the game, how the story develops, how the mysteries unfold, the whole adventure that Geralt has to go through as he's tracking down Ciri. This game literally has no flaws. It's a very long game, and during those like 50 hours that you spend in the game, there's not a single minute of gameplay that I dread replaying. I look forward. I have replayed it 3 times already. And there's never a moment where I think, oh no, not this part again. I loved every second of it. It's a masterpiece. Speaking about masterpieces, when I reached the end of this game, I had to fight so hard not to cry. I was holding on for dear life because the tears were like right there, but I wasn't going to allow myself to show any kind of emotion. Why not? Because I'm weird. What game am I talking about? You might have guessed it already. It is... Yes, it is. Red Dead Redemption 2. Let me be honest, it took me almost 5 years to complete this game. Why, do you ask maybe? Well, when it came out, I got it instantly because I really liked the first game. It was a spectacular experience. And I expected the second one to be equally as amazing. And as I started the game, visually it was spectacular. Just like The Witcher 3, nothing has come close to the visual prowess of that game. Incredibly well done. But as I was playing like the first couple hours of the game, it was okay. I like a slow burn. It doesn't have to be like breakneck pace all the time for me. Especially like in fantasy books, I really enjoy a slow burn, something that starts off nice and slow and that takes its time. But for whatever reason, as the hours were going by and I was doing certain missions, I came to the point where I wasn't really feeling it. The game didn't really capture me. So I stopped playing and I put it on the shelf, and I didn't touch the game for, I'm not even exaggerating, I think 3 or 4 years. And then one day came where I thought to myself, oh, if this one's still here, that's right. Well, let's give it another go. And I started playing and I never stopped until the game was finished. Wow, that was... Oh, I was instantly addicted to that game. I have no other way to describe it but that it just gripped me by the throat and didn't let go. I was completely under its spell. Such an emotional roller coaster. As I said, when you reach the end, again, depending on your actions throughout the game, you get a certain ending. And I had to fight so hard to not sob. Another game that just can only be described as a masterpiece. Also, the voice acting in this one is some of the greatest performances of all time. Now, talking about a game that means a lot to me on an emotional standpoint, it got me through a difficult time of my life. I was still a teenager then. I think in between 14 or 15. My parents were having a divorce, so that was really affecting me a lot. And also during that summer, I had hurt my leg and I was sort of incapacitated, so I couldn't go outside. While all my friends were outside playing and having fun, I had to stay indoors and because I couldn't walk around. But what saved me that summer is this one game. It is Dragon Quest VIII, The Journey of the Cursed King. I still, to this day, I see myself sitting in the sofa with my leg up and playing this game for hours on end because I absolutely love JRPGs and I can lose myself in them for hundreds of hours. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. If you look up my hours played of any JRPG I've ever played, it's like insane. And that game is what got me through that summer, both mentally and physically. It's such a beautiful game. The gameplay itself was super fun. It used these cel-shaded visuals. The characters were so endearing. The story was amazing. As I said, the gameplay, the music. Oh, to this day, I still remember. There is I think in the first town you encounter, there is a church where you can save your game. And the music that plays in that church is so beautiful that I just... Sometimes I booted up the game, went to that church, and just let the music play and just listen to it. It meant so much to me in that time, to this day even, because it was such a lovely experience. It made what's going to be Otherwise, a horrible summer filled with frustration and anger and whatever it may have been. It turned it upside down and made it such an enjoyable time that every day that I woke up, I looked forward to jumping back into that magical world of Dragon Quest VIII. So yeah, that game is very dear to me. And if we're talking about games that are dear to me, you all know Final Fantasy, and everyone and their mothers is gonna say, "Oh my God, Final Fantasy VII, woo!" I like to go against the current, and my all-time favorite Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy VIII. When I think of this game, it's like a wave of warm and fuzzy nostalgia, like crashing all over me. I still remember the first time I played this game. I went with my mom to the video store, and so I rented Final Fantasy VIII. I must have been like 7 or 8 years old. I didn't even speak or read English. I had never played an RPG. I had no idea what the game was about. I had no idea what I had to do. I was just instantly captivated by all the cutscenes, and especially the intro where you see Squall and Cypher have their legendary sword fight. I was instantly so like, oh my God, this is amazing! And I was just running around having no clue what I had to do, and somehow I found my way to Ifrit's cave, the first pretty much mission that you have to do, where you can capture him as a GF, a Guardian Force. That was such a beautiful game, such an amazing experience. I think it's perhaps one of the games that I've replayed the most in my life, but I love this game so much. It was my first RPG, the one that made me fall in love with the genre. This game was such a huge part of my childhood that it will forever be in my list of all-timers. And speaking of games that are a huge part of my childhood, Resident Evil 2. My nephew and I became obsessed with this game. It was all we talked about. It was all we did. Every moment we spent together, we were either playing the game or talking about it, because we were struggling. At this point, we were, I think, maybe 9 and 10 years old. So we weren't really the most talented gamers at that time. I mean, right now I'm an absolute prodigy, but back in those days, I was still learning the ins and outs of it. For both of us, Resident Evil 2 was the introduction to what is now, let's say, top 2, top 3 of my favorite, or our favorite game series of all time. We've played every single installment of the game, but Resident Evil 2 is where it all started. And it was such a fascinating game because it was the first that I could remember where you had 2 discs, one for each character. We were both instantly addicted to the game, but every time we were able to solve a sort of puzzle, open a door, find a key, it always felt like such an incredible achievement to us, where we got to finally advance to a new area, enter a new room. Yeah, that was a very memorable game. And now the last game on this list, perhaps the game I have replayed the most ever. I got it as a birthday present, and I still consider it as one of the greatest presents I ever received. It is Metal Gear Solid. I think I've finished this game perhaps 15 times. I just played it over and over and over again. It was also the very first game I completed by myself. That was such a proud moment for me, because that was the very first time where I achieved something like that. When I saw the credits roll, I felt like, oh my God, I've accomplished something amazing. I've finally done something. And that game, especially for when it came out, was a revolutionary game. The boss fight with Psycho Mantis alone was something that no one had ever seen before. I loved that game so much. It got to the point where I had played it so much that if you had to make a remake of it, and David Hayter retired as a voice actor. He's one of my favorite voice actors, by the way. I could just jump in and take his place because I knew every single line that Snake says in the game. Or not even just Snake, like everyone. Like Liquid, Ocelot, Meryl, Colonel Campbell, Mei Ling. I can go on and on. Another game series that, together with Resident Evil, is going to be in my top 3 game series of all time. So that's it, guys. We have reached the end of my list. As I said, each and every one of these games are my absolute number ones. I have so much love and appreciation for each of the games on this list. Each of them has played like an important role in my life. They will forever be in my heart. So now it's your turn. Tell me about what you think of the games on my list. Tell me what your experiences were with the games that I just mentioned. Share it with me in the comments. I'm looking forward to reading all your opinions and experiences. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.